Well, we're gonna have to go fast then. Did they have Sonic games on the 3DS? I'm sure they did. Hello. It's 352 episodes of We Were Gamers.
Is it? I guess.
Yeah. We're getting close to a year's worth.
Yeah, we're gonna close in on that before this year is out. Michael, what's going on?
I am enjoying some nice weather for a change. It hasn't rained in
5 minutes?
multiple days. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not currently raining. This is a change.
Hey, JJ's back.
Hello.
Oh, and louder than ever. Joking. I'm joking.
Oops. I mean,
No,
I am loud, so
it's-
that is not
this-
wrong necessarily.
No. Discord reset itself again, and you were all the way up. So your
All
hello,
the way up.
your hello
So
will be as
11.
loud as the SDSU viewing parties were.
Until they got sad.
Well,
based on the score of that game. But I mean, to be
how
fair,
can you be sad?
I know. The team was, people were like buzzing out here. I don't know if that's common in areas where basketball does better. That's not, this isn't a thing for this team normally. the years it wasn't that long. Back in my day, it hasn't been that long since this team didn't even make the tournament. We're like, oh, we got in this year instead of playing in the NIT.
Oh, welcome to
NIT?
where UC Irvine plays all the time. I love the NIT.
Remember the NIT guys?
I
The not
remember it.
invited tournament. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know it well.
We and it's, oh man, we won a game. Awesome. But they've been doing, well these last few seasons. But never had gotten past the round of 8. And so getting to the Final Four and then the championship game is just, school firsts and city firsts here. So
Yeah, that's so cool, man.
Super exciting.
it was very cool. One of my coworkers was attempting to make the argument if they had won, that they would be the highest winning team in San Diego history. Because, we don't have a professional football team. And while they were here, they never won a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
We don't have, a professional. We have a professional baseball team, but they've never won the World Series.
Right.
Right. So, the college basketball team winning the final, the March Madness tournament would be the best sports result for the entire city, basically.
What about hockey? You don't have any hockey down there?
Not professional hockey, right? We have
you have the
AA or
goals.
AAA hockey. Yeah. I don't think they've ever won anything either that I'm aware of.
The Gulls, they're pretty good. I don't know if they've ever won anything. I don't know what the tournament levels.
Hello?
That was weird. Pardon our dust.
I'm starting to have some hardware issues with this computer that might need some sorting out, you guys.
Uh-oh.
I'm thinking this Focusrite attachment for this thing is just no good and needs to be dumped and replaced with something else, because I am starting to have USB issues when I power the computer on and all sorts of stuff. I don't know if it's damaged the mother.
Yeah, you keep clipping out.
It's like it's fading over to something else too. Is there other inputs going on there or something? It's very strange.
Okay, well, there was a setting. So now I have to go back and reopen all my tabs for this thing that I had open. I guess I'm just going to sort of try and remember them. Anyway, we should just get back on track.
On this podcast? That's...
I don't know, man. I had a few tabs open to remind me to ask you guys questions about stuff, is what it was. But
just open the browser history.
We're calling it a day on that, and we're getting back to the point because we got no time to get through all this stuff. Sorry. Basketball is awesome. That's great. I'm so happy. Oh, I remember when UCI got to the end of baseball and into the World Series, and I think if they go the first time, you'll never live it down the next time, right? So
yeah, sure,
it's a tough one to lose because you want to just have that Cinderella story, but at the same time, the expectations can be high, the hopes can be higher if they don't make it, right?
Yeah, and the looking at the team that beat us, like I don't
Good
think
Lord.
they just
Ooh.
murdered every
Talk
team
about
they played, and
loaded.
it wasn't close. Yeah.
That I don't imagine most of those players will be there next year. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
how many of them? It's like which ones aren't going to the NBA?
Yeah. Well, since we're on sports,
Although I guess that pathway isn't as popular as it used to be, right? Or G
you know,
League maybe.
you know, there's something to be said for like having fun in college and winning tournaments. It's not like basketball careers are at serious jeopardy like football careers.
I just mean that they don't typically get drafted straight to the NBA out of college anymore. They often go into the G League and play for several years now. It's just not as common. Not that it won't happen, just not common.
Okay, we're on sports. Michael, you got to hear about my night staying up from 10 to 1 a.m.
So, okay, I'm so curious. You watched it
Staying up from
live?
10 to F1?
10 to F1 a.m.
Yes.
Let's hear it.
This episode was supposed to be about the 3DS, and it still will be, but I don't know how I don't title it that. From 10 to F1 a.m. I watched it live, yes, with other people.
That's amazing.
It was the most
Where
chaos
were you that you were
I've
watching other
ever. At a family's house.
Oh, okay.
Family
That wanted to watch
with
it. That's
family. Yeah, that are all. I don't know what has happened, but the brothers and in-law brothers and all the brothers are into F1 on one side of the family, and
Cool.
so whenever we're together, if there's any F1 available, we just turn it on. It's just on.
That's fun.
Yeah,
Solid.
yeah. I think it helps bring everybody just a little bit of peace, you know. We watched it live. It was absolute chaos, Michael. Chaos. Michael, you know some racing terms here we're going to have to talk about. You know what a yellow flag is?
Yes. Yeah.
You know what a red flag is?
Uh-huh.
Worse.
Safety car?
Right, yeah. They slow everyone down.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interval. We're going to have to talk about intervals.
You might have to refresh me on that one.
Space between cars, basically.
Okay.
It's the common meaning, right? Just like the interval between something.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. I don't even know where to start with this insanity. It rained the previous day.
Right. I think that's the place to start, right? The track normally is rubbered in, as they call it, from the previous days of racing and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But when it rains, typically all that kind of rubber and all that stuff on the track kind of washes off. So people are like, oh, the grip is a little lower. It's a little colder out there, maybe, as the day wears on. So the conditions are ripe, let's say, for stuff to happen.
Now, the weather is interesting because that day it was pretty warm. And so they said, we'll go with some interesting strategies here. It's a shortish race. We're all going to run hard tires. There are a lot of people at the back of the field because of the previous day's conditions that shouldn't be, including one of the contenders for the championship, who are going to have to work their way through the field. So a lot of cars have decided we're going to try and make this entire race on one set of tires, Michael.
Okay.
That wasn't their decision, right? Because that's not legal, technically.
You have to pit once, yes.
Right.
And you have to change tires. You have to have
change tires.
2 different compounds unless there's extenuating circumstances.
So they're going to try and do it, right? They're going to try and do 99.9% of the race and then change at the most opportune time. Generally speaking, that's a yellow or red flag. The red flag being much more advantageous.
And then just put on whatever the fastest tires are and do a quick little jaunt to the end and be done. Right?
Yep. Okay. That's the stage being set for the 58 laps of the Australian Grand Prix.
I think, to be fair, you make it sound like there was chaos all the way through. There was chaos at the start and then kind of a long period of like some good racing.
There was
then chaos at the end.
Well, that's the best part of this is that there's a ton of chaos at the start, and then So at the start we have you go, JJ. It's fresher for you. You go ahead.
Yeah, I did not watch it live, so I watched it a little more recently. So
I
it
remember
was
the end very well, but the beginning, I don't know how we got so many yellows and reds. I don't remember
well,
exactly.
so in the very first lap, 3 corners in,
So turn
uh,
3 apparently is the death corner on this track because it happened every time there.
uh, Charles,
Before
Charles, how do you
before
pronounce it?
you start, uh, I made a comment to those present at the race that I need to repeat to you before you tell this story. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah.
I said these words out loud. Lance Stroll is starting too far up the pack. He's going to crash someone out. So go ahead and describe what happened at turn 3.
Turn 3, Lance Stroll hits the back left, I think. Or
He taps back right with
back
his
right,
front left.
maybe?
Yeah.
His front left. Charles's back right, and spins him out into the gravel there, beaching his car 3 turns into the race, 2 seconds into the race, and he's out.
Charles
Instantly.
Leclerc being one of the top rated drivers on a top rated car. Expected to be championship contender.
The golden boy at Ferrari.
Yes. Car beached, can't get it moving, immediate yellow flag.
And okay, he's not
That's
in
the
the
rules.
racing line. That's the rules. You bring out a yellow for that. All right.
Yep. Uh-huh.
And they kind of, my recollection is they kind of go on racing, and they're sort of able to move him off without having to stop the race at this point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, stuff racing kind of happens from here, was my memory.
Racing, good racing kind of happens from here, but I think there's more yellows in there pretty quickly. Man, I should have refreshed my memory before this insanity.
There are more yellow flags for people going off that turn and missing it. But no one crashes out here. People are just overcooking it into the turn, trying to overtake, and then end up in the gravel and having to spin their tires and flail about a bit until they can get out of it. Some of them do without too much trouble.
And at the start and now past turn 4, we now know who the race leaders are. Okay, and it's not who you think it should be. Max Verstappen won pole, and he gets a pretty bad start actually because of whatever reasons.
He
continues
got by Russell almost immediately.
Russell, who's in second place, and Hamilton, who's in third place, are now both past him within the first lap. They're all on the same tires though. So, Verstappen pretty standardly now seems to get more out of tires than most people do. He doesn't really complain about them as much as often, I would say. And so you kind of feel like, it's early. The Red Bull is often very much faster once DRS is enabled.
Yeah, I was going to say, really, it seemed like he was just sort of biding his time, waiting for DRS to get enabled so he could just zoom right past them.
We've talked about DRS before. That's the flap at the back of the car that opens up to enable overtaking speeds, to help with enabling overtaking speeds. But you have to be within 1 second of the car ahead of you. Okay. Yep. So we've got a little bit of racing happening here. DRS enabled, finally. And racing starts to happen. I think Hamilton is doing his best to hold off Verstappen as he possibly can. You can see the frustration building as he gets told that he's like he's going to get past. He doesn't want to get past. He starts getting DRS on his teammate Russell, who's ahead of him. Russell starts radioing the team that he doesn't want to get past. He shouldn't have to be fighting his teammate. His teammate should be helping him because he's ahead. And Verstappen's loving it and having a great time with DRS and keeps whipping in close to these two, right?
And crucially, right, the expectation going into this race is that Red Bull car is way faster than the Mercedes. And it's these guys aren't actually in a fight. This happened, and it's weird that they're in front of him, but the smart thing to do would for them to be defend, don't let him just pass for free. but like don't ruin your tires and ruin your race
Yeah.
trying to defend this guy who's going to beat you eventually anyway.
Yeah. So Verstappen finally gets ahead of Hamilton. And this is where Albon goes off, right?
Yeah. Or did he get past George first? And
No,
then
he doesn't get
Albon
past
went off?
George because George pits during the yellow from the lead. Right?
You're right. Yeah. So Albon goes off on the same lap that or the lap after. Anyway,
so like within a lap, and this guy, Alex Albon, who also was starting really far up the grid for where he should be.
it's like 7th or something.
Yeah, in a car that is supposed to be last, Michael. His teammate is dead last the entire race.
Okay.
So
like
he's
not
overdriving probably and overdriving the car. And for some reason, probably because of the rubbered up problem, it looks like the back end of his car just floats after a turn. It's like it completely loses traction. It's very weird. Even the racing drivers that are in the commentary booth are like, I don't know what happened here. He goes off.
They're like, this sucks. There's like nothing he can do at this point.
He's lost control of the car.
The issue is before this.
Two turns
nothing
before.
You can do.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Nothing you can do here at this point. You're here. You're just a passenger now. You're going to crash.
So we describe all this because he goes off into the gravel, spins, and then the car won't start up. He can't get it working again, and they have to yell a flag. Okay. Another comment comes out of the people watching it live. Holy cow, that's a lot of stuff on the track.
So crucially, he makes it sound like he's just beached it on the gravel again. He hit the wall.
He hit the
right.
Yes,
and
sorry.
Like, his front wing kind of shatters a bunch.
Yeah.
There's pieces of car all over the place.
Yeah.
So it's
and
a
not
more
just
serious
car.
problem.
There is, imagine taking like a dump truck and dumping gravel next to the road, not intending to get it on the road. Well, what does the road look like anyway, right?
Right, it's covered in gravel.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So crucially, someone in the group goes, that's a lot of stuff on the track, right? So initially, and because of the rules, they hit a yellow flag. And Mercedes says, aha, this is our opportunity for our one pit. Because we have a race leader. We can get it.
It's not just the yellow flag. They bring out the safety car, right?
Yeah, safety car. Yes. Yellow flag, safety car, real safety car. So they say strategy-wise, Hamilton, you stay out because you're in third place. There's no reason you should pit unless Max pits. If Max pits, you pit, right? If not, stay out. George, we're going to put you on different tires now, which will drop you to 5th place, but your tire change will be done, and you'll go to the end of the race, and you'll win.
Whatever, yeah. Because everyone else will have to stop in front of you. You'll inherit their positions. You never stop again. Now you're far away ahead of them.
Yep.
Sure.
So they go through one lap of this, and a lot of the drivers start radioing like, there's a lot of stuff on the track here, you guys. There's a lot of stuff on the track. This is a lot of stuff on the track. And I think Kevin Magnussen and a couple other people pit, and some of their teammates don't. A lot of teams do like 1-1.
And you see the sense in that, right? It's like, they're trying to cover both strategies here. Now they have a person out and they have a person not out. They're doing okay here. But then like a lap later, there's too much stuff on the track. Red flag, shut the race down. So everyone, go park in the pit lane, stop your cars, get out. Like, we're going to have to close the whole track so people can come out and do work, fix the barrier, fix stuff,
Yep. So Mercedes has now ended George Russell's race. He's now in 5th place.
They ruined him for nothing, effectively.
Right? And everyone that pitted is now back in their position, and everyone else that didn't now gets a free pit. Michael, the free pit
under
that
flag,
counts,
right?
that counts towards their pit that they had to do.
Of course.
Yeah. So crucially, under red flag, you can still work on the car and you can make changes to tires. And
I think Hamilton changed his front wing during the break.
Oh, people change all kinds of stuff. They make all kinds of weird adjustments.
Yeah. So then it starts back up
immediately.
It starts back up with a bunch of people hosed, but that's kind of like, oh, that's crazy. I wonder why they didn't red flag it earlier, but whatever. It's kind of chaos with the race and that's cool. But Verstappen is now at the front. And the answer to this is see you later. right?
Yeah, it's like, all right, well, and then Verstappen doesn't see the rest of the field for the rest of the race, effectively.
I commented on this out loud again. I started watching my watch. They didn't show him for 30 minutes.
Why would you?
They at one point
out
35
there by
minutes
himself and no one is close to him. What's that?
I remember like 35-ish minutes later they were like, there's Max Verstappen, but the frame they had was Logan Sargent coming around the corner. So it's Logan Sargent first, and then it was Max lapping Logan Sargent. And they're like, look, he's still racing. They literally said, look, our race leader is still racing. He's out there on the track. Michael, at one point, he got up to 10 seconds ahead of the other cars.
That's third.
That's a free pit stop.
10 isn't quite the pit delta, but it's far enough that if they also have to pit, they have no possible chance of ever catching you. Like your team could screw up royally in the pit stop and you'd be fine.
Well, you're so close to it that if you put soft tires on, you'd be golden.
Right. And it crucially, like, it's getting lapped in F1 isn't as uncommon as that sounds. Like, the back markers typically get lapped
all
in
the
a
time.
lot of races,
and it's important because they enable DRS for the front marker,
which is kind of BS, I feel. And also, like, why can't the guy in the back defend? Like, I this is a F1 rule, and I don't understand the like blue flag
because they could cause a crash to the race leader.
It's a car. You got to pass the car.
Oh,
you got to pass him. Why does it just free for the?
Why should Williams be able to cost Red Bull millions of dollars for crashing their car with their bad driver? You know.
So just overtake him, like you would normally. Like, you have the DRS. What's the issue? Just pass him.
Yeah.
You pass a lot of other drivers. Can't pass this guy.
I
don't know. It's like that is one of the rules that other racing series don't have that I think would improve F1. At least give us something to see. You know, like stop people like running away from the front. But it is what it is.
Well, so we go for a normal race for quite a while.
There's some sweet overtaking though.
There's
like
some very good
Alonso
overtaking from Alonso,
like,
and
cool
I mean, there's a really good race that happens in the middle of this. There's another
Checo has like a bunch of sweet overtakes.
Bunch of them. There's another yellow flag in there for I can't remember what reason. Sainz's car catches on fire. Right? No, George Russell.
That's later.
George Russell's car catches on fire.
It's George's car that catches.
George Russell's car catches on fire. It literally just shooting flames out the back of it.
He's like going down the pit straight and it's like trailing smoke and you're like, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then, you know, as he's coming down the main straight, they're like, George, stop the car.
George, the guy that was going to win never was going to win because his car broke down anyway. And what
by the time he's getting out, like you can just see like flames billowing out the back, you know, and he's like yelling at the people with the like fire extinguishers, be like, come on, let's go. Like very.
Yeah. So I forgot Sainz is in it at the end of the race because of the 5-second thing.
Right.
Yeah. So then we get to the end of the race, Michael, and
we're like lap 56 55 of.
It's got to be
58.
Like 55 of 58. Yeah. And Kevin Magnussen somehow slips his car too close to the wall, catches the wall, and blows out the whole back right side of his car all over the track.
Yeah.
His back right tire hits the wall and like shatters the rim and the wheel and
tire parts and his back wing and like parts are everywhere. So yellow flag for a lap and then red flag.
And you know, this was arguable, I think. Well, I mean, they had to red flag this one because he hit the barrier pretty hard and like his car was in a weird place.
Yeah. Well,
I didn't feel so bad about that. But
Max's 11-second lead on the field is now a restart.
I mean, it's a 0-second lead, right?
Because it is. Well, I mean, yeah, but now they have to race again, Michael, from the start line.
Well, so this is a thing. Like, this is what I wanted to hear from you, Andrew. They didn't have to do that.
No, they could have
done a rolling start.
They could have done a rolling start.
They chose to do a standing start again.
Well, as with all F1 rules, who can say why? Because there's 7 different ways to interpret what should happen next.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, it gets worse than
guess
this.
Why they did it, though, right?
They did it to try and make Max race. Yeah, exactly.
They wanted a show, right?
Yep.
Okay.
So they put everyone back at the start line and they make everyone race again. Guess what happens when everyone races again 2 laps from the end of the race, Michael?
Nothing good.
In turn 3,
everyone hits everyone else.
Everyone crashes. Sainz collides with Alonso. Someone else.
To be fair, he doesn't hit him that hard. He like taps him and just spins Alonso out into the gravel. Right.
And then Gasly trying to avoid that accident moves to the right, which causes him to hit his own teammate and take them both out of the race.
And he hits him hard. They go into that wall and there's just like shards of pink cars.
There are 4 cars immediately taken out of the race, 3 turns into it, and guess what? Another red flag.
Yeah.
Which again, like those 2 Alpine cars were so destroyed, there was no option.
Yeah.
But also, like,
now we don't know how to finish the race
because only 2 laps left.
There's 2 laps left, but we didn't finish a quarter sector of the track, which means that the race restart has to restart with the order that existed before the start. But now the counter of laps has moved up 1 because Max crossed the line, even though we don't know Max crossed the line because he didn't get through the first quarter before the accident.
No, the reason the counter of laps moves up is because after he goes around and pulls into the pit, you cross the start-finish line because the pit is past the
I
start
see.
line.
Okay, so now we're on. Now we're on lap 58. No, 57.
Right?
57, and they can't decide how to restart the race. If they should even restart the race, and what order they should restart in. So eventually, they start moving cars around in the paddock and trying to get them in different orders. And
there's a ton of vested interest here by all the teams, right?
Oh yeah,
like,
because
I want my team. My guy got spun out. He deserves to be back up in the front. This other team doesn't deserve. And people arguing every which way.
Of course, yeah. I mean, there's a team like Haas who's usually at the back that has a driver in 4th place now. I mean, why wouldn't you argue?
Right? Yeah. So it's all self-interest, right?
Yeah. So eventually they restart this thing. And right as they're about to restart it, they tell the guy in 5th that he's been assessed a 5-second penalty for causing that accident.
Yeah, for spinning Alonso into the
But they're going to run the entire race behind a safety car, Michael. So that effectively puts every car within 5 seconds of him.
So they're saying that like, hey, because there's 2 things going on here, right? F1 has this rule about like finishing the race and how many laps or whatever. They would have to do a lap of the circuit to get back to the starting grid. That would then mean they're lined up on the starting grid and the first person to cross the line is first and then second and third and the race is over. So there's no like have a 1-yard dash, right? Like there's no point in doing that. So they're like, all right, if we finish under the safety car, this is fine. But now this 5-second penalty this guy gets basically puts him at last, effectively, right? He's in 4th or 5th or something.
Yeah, he was in 5th.
It effectively moves him almost all the way to the back of the race.
Yep.
And you get some painful radio from him. He's
There's
like,
some terrible
do
radio.
This to me.
Yeah. It was a mess. It was an absolute mess. And they didn't tell the fans the race wasn't over, so fans were like trying to climb the fence as they were doing the final cool down lap. They were trying because they didn't realize there needed to be a cool down lap.
It's a car allow the fans to do there, right? Go out and walk on the track when it's over.
A car broke down
out there.
A car broke down on the cool down lap, and was still live while people were crowding around it live on the track. It's like. It was nuts. I counted at the end of the race, out of 20 cars to start the race, 11 made it off the track under their own power.
12 finished the race, though. that car that broke down on the cooldown lap finish the race.
Yep.
It broke down after the race was over.
Yep. It was insane. Something that should have taken an hour and 30, hour and 40 minutes took 3+ hours.
Yeah, it truly a bonkers
I couldn't believe it. It was absolute chaos. And not just because of the racing.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
And like I think Hamilton and Alonso like hate each other, man. I get the feeling they are like rivals from the past. Like they used to be teammates, and like now they're not anymore. And
No
I think
love lost.
no love lost for sure. And like I have the feeling that like Hamilton was like desperately like wanted to keep Alonso behind him and keep that podium.
Absolutely. Yeah.
He's like, I will not give this podium to this man. Someone else can have it, but not him. Right.
Yep. Oh man.
Just
Well, we don't have a ton of time, but we had to talk about that. It was insane. I had to.
race.
It was insane. Michael. As depressed as those guys were about their finish, are you depressed at all about your finish in the NIER Automata crossover event in Champions of the Continent?
Well, I mean, due to a clerical error, it's not quite done yet. But I enjoyed it. I'm a little sad. I think the only thing about this that I'm sad about, I guess we should say that there was another collaboration event in Octopath Traveler Champions of the Continent. And this time, Orstero was hacked by the world of NIER Automata.
Glory to mankind.
You guys should play that game, man.
I messed up and didn't buy it during the sale, so I'm going to wait for the next sale, and then I'm going to buy it for the Steam Deck.
But so how many of the androids did we all end up with?
I have...
To be clear, everyone got 9S for free.
Everyone got 9S, yeah. I've got the trio. I got all of them.
So you have 2B and A2.
Yeah.
Did you end up with all three of them, Michael?
No. My pull luck was pretty atrocious for this event. So I did wind up with an awakened A2, a single awakening, but that was it.
Oh,
nice,
rough.
I didn't have to go the full pity on A2, but it wasn't far off.
Yeah, I mean,
I did get an A2, but
this is something I wanted to talk about actually. Maybe you should have.
Oh, kept going?
Just gone to full pity if you were that close. Michael and I and you had a discussion, and I think more than Michael and I
actually wouldn't have had the gems to do it. I would
interesting.
Have them now, but
yeah.
I didn't at that time.
Michael and I were discussing this a little bit a long time ago, and then I was discussing it a little bit with you guys during the event. And I stopped because I ended up with an A2 very early on, and a 2B and the 9S. And I was like, okay, that's enough. I should stop and save my gems because we're free to play. And we need them for other things. I don't think I'll pull on TT actually because I forgot she's Sacred Blaze, and I don't like doing that.
Yeah, those are hard if you don't have enough to do the full pity on them.
They are very much a pity oriented banner. So I'm gonna.
It's a full 6K, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna force myself not to do it, and there's more reasons for it than that actually. But I got to the point that I got boost berries. Okay. And I stopped there because I thought they had some high-ish value, and I wish I had kept going 2 more pulls to pull stones, at least, if not going 4 more pulls to pull their items, because I did not realize this, but I think boost berries are actually kind of worthless.
I mean, the worth of them is a level, right? Which
the worth of them is 5-ish million XP. And now that we have the upgraded nut farm, 5 million XP is possibly 1 day.
If you get lucky, yeah. But even if you're unlucky, it's like a few days. Right?
Yeah. And so I think now, especially for events where we decide we're going to pull hard, boost berries are not the goal anymore on stopping. And so if you hit a weird number like 60, you should probably go to 80 or 100. You know what I mean? Especially if you've saved the gems to do the banner like I had with the NIER banner, because that was one that I really wanted to pull on. I wish I hadn't stopped, especially with how many gems they gave us. Holy cow. So I wanted to see if you guys thought that my assessment of boost berries was accurate. That I distilled my argument while thinking about it over the last day, because I was going to ask you a longer winded question yesterday, but I think my argument distills down to, when pulling, How far should you really pull? Because I think boost berries are not as useful as they used to be.
So I have never gone after boost berries with extra fragments. If I don't have enough to get something really good, I'll just get bronze shards.
Oh, see, but one of the reasons I think we should pull more on a banner you decide you really want, you should just pull more, is because even then, if you hit the person multiple times, it's great. But like the guide stones, if you hit them, let's say you do NIER again because you really want those characters to be like A1, A2, A3, whatever. If you do them again, if you already capped out their guide stones, you're just getting guide stones that are worthless. I mean, obviously you can shard them into other guide stones, but
Yeah, I was gonna say you can trade the guide stones for guide stones, but yeah, it's I hear you with that. I got A2's accessory. I think that was one thing I
so
got.
you pulled that far. Okay, I think I should have pulled farther. I was a little disappointed.
I had to.
Yeah. I mean, if either of you wanted to, the banners are still up.
Well, so I was kind of annoyed at myself, and so I decided to pull on the dancer banner actually, because we got so many gems from the event that I should have kept pulling on the androids, but I had already traded in all the shards for that banner, which I shouldn't have done right away, but I guess I did, and so I went back to the dance because I really wanted Primrose because I keep seeing how to beat like multiple things in the world. It's like you need Primrose for dark damage, really. The game decided that my A2 luck, Michael, meant that I should only get Harley 3 times.
A3, Andrew? Huh?
Harley.
Yeah.
The worst dancer in the game.
I have a 4.5 Harley that I'm not working on.
Oh my god. So worthless. Anyway, there's a lot coming up in that game. I pulled on the dancer banner with all the gems they gave us for the event, so I'm still sitting just below doing another full pity for somebody else at some point in the future. Yeah,
I'm around 3,600, so not bad considering how deep I had to go.
I'm about half that, so
you're at 1,800.
Yep.
Ouch.
I had to go deep to get A2, man.
Yeah.
Finally got her. And I didn't get 2B either, so it's just, 9S and A2 for me. I did finally get Elvis to 5-star the other day and then bought immediately like 2 awakenings for him.
So I was frustrated that I didn't get I was frustrated that I did not get Primrose. So I ended up just like being mad at the game and level 100 did 6 characters.
Hey, I have several hundreds at this point. Like,
that was my first 100s actually. I had just been letting them sit in my main party and not hurrying them.
Yeah, you wind up getting bottlenecked with levels anyway from the lack of guide stones.
Yeah.
The cool thing I will say about the getting guys to level 100 is those like final SP saver skills typically make a big difference in how long they can be active in fights that grind out.
Do I have to go in? Do I have to go in and reselect the skills, or does it fix it for you?
Reselect.
How do you mean?
Like to get the SP savings, do you have to go in and?
Oh no, they're not separate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just changes the ability, right?
The cost, yeah.
Gotcha. Got it. Cool.
Yeah,
I'm excited,
especially for a character like Cyrus.
Yeah,
it helps so much. When I got the SP saver skills, he's not at level 100, but I got one of them, and now all of a sudden I want to use him for that element all the time because he can cast that spell like 50 times, so the other 2 like drain his SP like crazy.
Anyway, I had a good time with the banner. The event was cool. I wish the things were permanent.
Did you guys all end up beating 9S ? Level 100 or whatever he was?
Yes.
90.
I think he was 90. But yes, I've cleared all of it. I thought it was great. I wish they left the hunts in there. Those were really fun hunts.
Yeah, it's too
cool
bad
maps.
That's my biggest gripe is that the hunts are also limited time like the rest of it.
That shouldn't be. I don't know why they don't just leave it in.
Yeah, those were super cool maps. Fun to play.
Yeah. Sounds like there's a lot coming out this week and next week. Or maybe just this week.
This week in particular, we finally get the first of our job towers. So those will be fun. 5 levels. Each level has a regular and an EX variant. And then each job tower can only be entered by characters who are that job. So we'll get the warrior tower and the hunter tower to start with. And then the towers, each tower is tied to the awakening for one of the arena characters. So we'll get Tiki-Lin stuff in the
Ready.
warrior tower.
I'm so ready to make Tiki-Lin my new Odette. Come on, I don't have Odette, so I need Tiki-Lin A1. She needs to do some damage for me.
Someone with wind, please.
Well, you have Harley now.
I will say, I sort of wish that, although maybe it'll make her finally overtake Lars, because I have Lars and he has some wind abilities also. But
There's so many wind characters, dude.
Not awesome. Yeah, and
So
Hiko
many
too,
wind.
right? He's also wind.
Yeah, I just don't
Although I guess
understand.
He's not a warrior, so he can't go into the tower. Never mind.
Why is Prim like my only option for dark damage anywhere in the world? I don't understand it. And like I don't even have her.
So Steed
Don't
does
have.
dark.
Well, you got 2B.
Yeah.
He has dark.
Yeah.
So does Fior.
Yep.
Fior has. That's not
terrible
really
dark
dark damage. Yeah.
Bro, you need to cast a dark spell. It's a dark spell, okay?
It's not good enough for an arena fight.
Let's see. Who else? There's some other
Heinz,
characters who have
Wingate.
weak
I mean,
ones.
those are
Yeah.
4. Those are all 4s, is what I'm saying. And that's why.
Gaslight?
Yeah, no, she's ice, but that's why I had to try and pull on that dancer banner, and I was disappointed in myself for doing it. I really was. It was as much of a waste as I thought it would be. I feel bad for having spent whatever 1,000 gems on it, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, don't chase. I have learned that over many years from playing FFRK.
Yep,
Right,
that's
like set yourself a level. Like I'm only gonna pull 4 times on this banner, or I'm pulling on this one to pity. But
Yeah.
even then, if you get it so early, you're not gonna continue.
yep.
And then
Yep.
don't go past the line.
It's hard to do when it's not a real line. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a game.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Anyway, COTC, man. Yeah, new story this week. Yeah, it's good. We're
Awesome.
yeah, we're gonna switch gears here. We're gonna stay in games. We're gonna even stay on a device that had a lot of great Square Enix games like Bravely Default. The eShop for the 3DS and the Wii U shut down this past week, essentially sunsetting those 2 consoles. They ended support for those consoles. They're ending hardware replacements and fixes for those consoles. I think the shop has already shut down. Don't run out and try and do it now. It's too late. It's over, you guys. I think
It looks like you can still download stuff you have bought.
yes.
You can,
In the
yes.
PlayStation 3 style, you can still access things you have digitally, but you can't get
There's
them.
no way to get anything else, and even if you had money in there, you can't use it.
Yep. They've removed the ability to put credit cards in there, etc. I think a couple years ago we were at a BlizzCon and I declared the 3DS was dead when I carried it around a BlizzCon and did not street pass a single person.
I mean, that was years into the Switch's life at that point, though, right? Like the Switch had been out for several years,
3 years, yeah.
and we were clinging to the 3DS.
Was the Switch? Is the Switch 8 this year?
Yeah, I believe that's
Wow.
true.
9.
Oh my god, we're getting older faster. Does that
How
feel
does
right?
time work?
How does
Time
time
runs
work? I
downhill.
don't-
But yeah, it's old, and the 3DS was a great system. I think we can all agree. No notes.
Oh, thank
really.
God. The Switch is only 6, you guys. Oh, thank God.
That means it's turning 7 later this year.
No, it's turns 7 next year. Yeah. 2024. It turns 7. Thank God. I thought we were dying.
17. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, anyway,
But
back on
I
track
think
here.
it's
Yeah.
fair to say that that thing, the Switch killed the 3DS dead. like
Oh.
the day it released.
Yeah,
That
nails.
thing was
Straight up nails.
We remember, right? Like the Switch was impossible to get. It was sold out everywhere all the time for like a year and a half, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
And that was
that's ignoring what happened during
before
COVID.
COVID. Yeah.
Yeah, it was foreshadowing.
Yeah. So we all busted our 3DSs out just to give them one last epitaph.
Mine's next to me right now.
I'm gonna click mine in front of the microphone. Here, hold on. Oh, I knocked my microphone over. Hold on.
Well done.
There's the clip.
I even turned it on. I was like, what games do I got in here? What was I up to?
I also turned mine on. Yeah.
I have a Puzzle and Dragons game in here. All right, that was cool. But I think the thing I had most recently played was Link Between Worlds, because that was the top left icon on the thing.
Yeah.
That's a good game.
I think that special Zelda Picross is one of the games I was playing last in there. Bravely Default, I'm sure. Mine, my battery does not appear to be great. I'm trying to do the rehab steps of like charge full for a couple hours past full, then discharge all the way and see if that rehabs it at all. Because as I discovered this week, it's not easy to find a 3DS or DS battery that is not an $8 one that's probably a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, mine took a long time to boot. Like I couldn't even turn it on. I had to let it charge for a good several hours before it would even turn on.
Yeah, I actually lucked into a old DS, like an actual DS with the old advanced slot on the bottom and stuff like that. And that one, the lights won't even come on when I plug it in. So I'm wondering what's wrong with that one. If it's the battery, or if it's the charger, or if it's just dead completely.
Yeah, hard to know.
Yeah. These are one of the things that people are going to be talking about in the next couple of years, actually, with these systems, is like these systems are, I think, unlike like an SNES and stuff, where it's easy to keep them going, right? And SNES and NES, they're very simple circuit boards. They have a lot of successors, like imitation consoles, analog, very expensive consoles. The Mister emulates them well. Things like that exist for those types of very simplistic items to generate. But the 3DS and the Wii U, especially the 3DS, not the Wii U, are going to be things that are kind of almost impossible to replicate in their entirety, right? Like, yeah, maybe you can find a way to look at two screens at once on a computer screen or something, but like the idea of it turning 3D and all that, these are going to be real hard to keep going permanently.
The thing that you cannot do right with emulation is the 3D effect, because that's not supported by the monitors unless you have some kind of custom piece of hardware. And that is the thing that will be lost. Which, to also be fair, I don't know how much 3DS you guys played. I turned it off a large majority of the time.
I think some games did it really well. The marquee Nintendo made games always did it well, right? Like the Zelda Link Between Worlds.
Link Between Worlds had a cool implementation of it, like where you could like jump up and you would see him fly up into the air, and like there were some puzzles that utilized it a little bit. But the game's also playable without it. Just gonna say.
Yeah. Mine always lived around 20% on.
I think as I got through, mine lived between on and off. I can't remember. As I got to kind of cleaning out my collectibles we've talked about over the last couple of years, one of the things I picked up and decided whether I was going to keep or not was the 3DS. And I looked at it, and I had sold off my DS, my DS Lite, my DSi over the years to pay to upgrade to the next one, right? So I only have this one left, actually. And I looked at it and I was just like, hey, I can't get rid of this one. It's too iconic. I've used it too much. Like one of my buttons is completely shiny and the other ones are all the original kind of dull color. But my A button sure is shiny.
Must have played a lot of Street Pass games.
No kidding, JJ. Yeah. it's going to be sad. I don't know how to keep it going super well. I assume someone out there will make batteries for it for a while. But I did run across some articles about how to sunset your consoles like these. Like, okay, make sure to back up the SD cards with all your saves because those can go bad. Or like if your DS goes bad and you need to move it over, to a new one or a used one, I guess at this point, kind of do that ahead of time. There's really no advice for how to try and keep your battery in good health. I don't know. Keep them charged, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, batteries are batteries.
Yeah, it's sort of an intractable problem at some point, right?
Yeah, it kind of is. Did you guys have what I ended up getting the Majora's Mask one. What did you, and that's the XL version. I don't know what you guys actually ended up having and keeping.
I think a lot of what I had for the 3DS to start with were all on carts to begin with. So
Oh, I meant
have
the
all the
edition of your of it. Is it just like a colored one or?
no, I have the Zelda one.
Oh, you have the Majora's Mask one also?
Yeah, the Majora's Mask as well.
Oh,
We didn't we get them at the same time?
I mean, if they came out,
Seems like something
you
guys
would have had to have done. Yeah, yeah.
Mine
I
is-
seem to recall an early morning outside of Target.
I seem to recall that too. I've forgotten about that. Oh
Mine
my
is,
god, that's
mine is-
right.
Mine is blue. It's blue. It's a 3DS XL.
It's a very
The
nice,
new
very
one?
nice.
I don't know.
The
It doesn't-
quote
it
unquote
doesn't say
new.
doesn't say
I don't
new.
know if they ever did say. Oh no, it does say new. Mine says new on the bottom.
There's a hardware difference, right? It has the other
Yes.
little button. Mine does not have that. This
There is a hardware
non-new.
difference. Yes.
Yeah. So this is an old 3DS XL blue. There were like 4 total games that ever supported that little button,
I know.
and that only like a few that ever used the power of the new one. So
Yeah.
one
it
of which
ran-
I had played on my PC already.
It ran older games better actually.
It was more powerful. It was better.
Mhm.
No one is arguing
Yeah.
that it wasn't better.
I like a lot of the special edition ones. The colors were good. I didn't know this, but they made regular sized 3DSs that you could like swap the faceplates on.
Yeah, I think that was
Uh-huh.
the first edition ones. They had a bunch of
Yeah,
changeable faceplates on them.
that's cool too. Anyway, Street Pass. I don't know how. I mean, I guess you can only play them now with walking.
There was a Street Pass emulator that existed back in the day, so I assumed you could get that working and use turn a Wi-Fi point into a Street Pass, basically.
Oh, interesting.
Huh.
It was
Then you
doable
just sort of-
before, so you could Street Pass at your house. It was how people hacked Street Pass games and stuff. So that was
Oh.
always doable. It's probably janky on modern computers, but
Yeah,
it should still be possible. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of work.
yeah. Well, I think one of the things that might be a lot of work, but might be worth it to do now, is to maybe homebrew your 3DS or buy one to homebrew if you don't want to homebrew the one you like.
Yeah,
To try and be able to play games, because I mean, there's no other option really, is there?
I mean there are emulators, right?
Oh,
That's-
I mean, well, let's compare and contrast then, because if you've got an emulator, we should hear about it.
Yeah, so Citra is a 3DS emulator, and it runs on your PC. Obviously, it can't do any 3D stuff because that's not a thing that a PC can do. They could render it, right, but you wouldn't see anything. It would just look like garbage on your monitor.
Sure.
It has a bunch of options for dealing with the 2-screen situation and touchpads.
Yeah, because if
the
you
bottom screen
want
was
to
a
touch the
touchpad, right?
if you want to touch the bottom screen, what do you do? The 3DS was so packed with tech, dude. I don't understand how they did it.
I mean,
now.
It's a touchpad is a very common thing in
Yes,
it's not
but
that crazy.
when did that thing come out? In like 2011?
Maybe iPhones existed then, right? So
Yeah, I guess.
Sure.
the emulation solution to this is hey, you have a mouse, you can just click on it. It works. It works. And it
Can't
has
argue
the
with
same
that.
effect though, right? Because if you were holding the 3DS, you couldn't really use the stylus and tap at the same time. You kind of had to maneuver your hands and do something to get up there. You couldn't be actively engaged with the controls and also tapping that screen. So having to take your hands off of the controller or whatever you're using and like reach over to the mouse and click on something is analogous in a way.
Yeah, I mean, I could
Not the
sometimes do it
same.
with my thumb.
Maybe, yeah, but it's not the same,
No,
certainly. But
no.
it is a solution, and it does work. And what you choose to do with the two screens, Citra provides a bunch of options for. This is the emulator I've used. I'm sure there are others. Um, you can have it render the two screens side by side, right? So it's like you have a really big window. There's some black at the end because the resolutions are different on the two screens, also, which is annoying.
So
Mhm.
yeah.
Top screen is bigger, and then you just have the lower screen below it, right? And it's a little, you're looking like a 3DS.
Yeah,
Or you can just have it render them in two separate windows. It'll just open a window for the top screen and a window for the bottom screen. You can move them around on your desktop,
I
put them
could
wherever
put
you want.
one on one. I could put one on one monitor and one on the other monitor and stack my monitors.
You could. I actually did do that. I have two monitors side by side, and I put the lower screen off on the other monitor, and then I full screen the top window,
Uh huh.
and like cranked the resolution way up. So
How'd
like,
that
man,
go?
it looks pretty good, dude. You can play Link Between Worlds in like super high res. It looks pretty good. Um, it definitely doesn't look like the 3DS anymore because the models are way too nice now. And then the text comes up and you're like, oh, this is blurry. um, but yeah, it works. It fully works. You can map all the controls to your favorite controller, and go on about your day playing 3DS games. Pretty cool. It works well, I think. For that game anyway. I don't know what the like. I just wanted to play Zelda, man. I'll be real. I don't know what other stuff, what the compatibility is like. I think it's probably pretty good. Um, I don't know that you're going to do a lot of Street Pass stuff, but it does have it does support that. And like, I was able to set it up so I had like some Street Pass coins, and I was able to use them to like get hints on puzzles in Zelda and stuff. That was one of the uses for them in that game.
Oh, that's
Um,
right.
you give them to a ghost.
I forgot about that. Can you still do that by walking also, or is that only Street Pass?
I don't know how you walk your computer.
So how do you
I
wait?
walk my
So
emulator, so I
so
don't
you
know how
just
that works.
so you just tell the emulator like, I want all the coins all the time, please.
So there's no OS, right? So like I'm not booting into the OS, I'm just booting into the game.
Hmm.
So I'm not sure how it determines like that
Yeah.
stuff. I
How
don't
does
know
it know
where
you have
that
Street
stuff is
Pass
stored.
then?
Couldn't tell you. It set it up. I just had it. I had those
Okay.
coins. I don't know
All
where they
right.
came
All
from.
right. Okay.
I'm sure
All
that
right.
there's like settings for each game you can edit that allow you to set the number of coins or stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, but yeah, it was cool, man. It worked well. It looked good. It played. That Zelda game is all right, man. I played through the first dungeon. Good times.
Beautiful.
Very nice.
Pretty easy to set up, and then the only fiddly part is dealing with the two screens and like, how do I do? Where's the button for the touch screen? What do I do? Uh, oh, you just click on it.
I
Oh yeah.
feel like I might at some point, once things are calmed down and I've gotten rid of the collectibles and everything else, and I kind of like am in line with it. I might end up interested in a homebrewed actual DS though. The idea of like actually still having one that could kind of, I missed buying some things during the final days there, and like I've heard a lot about Attack of the Friday Monsters, and I kind of want to play that, and I can't get that anymore. And the price of cartridges has gone nutbags. I don't know if you've seen some of the cart
I
prices recently.
believe it.
Like
I'm sure.
a pre-owned copy of Bravely Default is like, back to at least MSRP. Some of them are above for other games by quite a significant amount if they were low print run,
I believe it.
So who knows? I don't know. I don't know the future, but I do know it's kind of sad to see this one go. Like Michael said, I mean, we went to a Target at what time? I don't know. It was early.
Too early.
Yeah. Just to get one because they had a cool gold Zelda edition, and why wouldn't we want that? It's
we should tell people, if you have a Wii U, go boot that
shoot.
up if you haven't turned it on in a while.
I guess there's some sort of
me when they say that, because I have a Wii U that I haven't turned on in quite a while.
I guess there's some sort of boot cycle problem. It's not a problem if it's not plugged in. It's a problem if it's plugged in and not turned on.
Oh, okay, so I'm fine.
Yeah. So mine was me holding my breath to see if it turned on, which it did, fortunately.
I turned mine on like a year or two ago, I'm sure. When I was rearranging stuff in the office. So I think I'll be okay. But yeah, I guess there's some sort of bricking problem with that thing.
That's not good.
No, it inspires me to play the 1 or 2 games I actually have left on it, and then probably save Vominos to that one as well.
Yeah.
Via con Dios Wii U. There's a lot. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people emulating it well. A lot of the games, if not, I think there's 2 games on there that have not been ported over to the Switch at this point. It's Xenoblade Chronicles X.
Why? Why?
And Wind Waker HD.
Also why?
I think that's it, right? I think they've done everything else.
Or at least all the other good stuff, right? Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah. That system is cool for what it was, but it's not. It's not essential, and I think letting it go is the right move there. And because it was built on sort of the bones of the Wii, the emulation for it pretty good.
I think it's actually really funny because one of the reasons I was holding on to it is I digitally purchased the Prime trilogy for it. And I've held on to it so long and not played the Prime trilogy that now even the Prime trilogy is getting re-released for the Switch.
Maybe.
Well, at least
Andrew,
at least a third of it. At least a third of it has been, and as soon as Michael plays it and says how good it is, I'll probably be a sucker and buy it, even though I know the other 2 are coming eventually.
Yeah.
Soon TM.
Soon TM.
By all accounts, that remaster is it's that game, but it looks nicer.
Which,
I'm okay with that.
It's pretty much what people wanted, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I'm just telling you, this isn't like a Final Fantasy VII remake situation. This is this is that game, but it looks good situation.
Yeah. Oh, it's not a remake; it's a remaster. But even though it's a remake.
Yes, exactly.
Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, you got it right on the first try, right?
Well, that's not a good episode title, but it is a good place to end the episode unless you guys have more thoughts on the... I really do. I'm going to miss the 3DS. I played a lot of hours on that thing. Obviously, I told you I wore one of the buttons. And I mean, I played a lot of DSs over time. I know that I had at least 3 of them before that I sold off to pay for that one. Right? And like... I have a lot of weird memories about the 3DS. I guess we could get into next time, but doing things like I bought a DSi that had a download only game for that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, which one was it? It was, let me see if my DS will turn on. Tell me. Zelda. Which Zelda? Where are you?
What are we talking about now?
There was a Zelda game. Here it is. Four Sword Adventure and Zelda 4 Swords Anniversary Edition was a Nintendo DSi download only reward game. So I bought
play regular 4 Swords though. Like
I know, I understand, but you could get it with your Nintendo rewards, but you could only download it on a DSi. So at one point I bought a DSi, downloaded it with my Nintendo points, and transferred it to my 3DS.
That's dedication right there.
I know, and it's why it makes me very sad that this thing is kind of dying.
That's a lot of dedication for like a not very good Zelda game, man.
I don't know why I decided that I needed to do it, but I did it, and I did it successfily. Unlike many things I tried to do.
I'm saluting you, man, but that's just a lot of.
Go back to the beginning of this episode,
where a mid-level game, and you went hard for
it. Go back to the beginning. Go back to the beginning of this episode where my computer just decides not to work. Okay, imagine how excited I was when that entire process went well. I think the answer to why I did this is I have digital downloads here for The Legend of Zelda 87, The Legend of Zelda Adventure of Link 88, Link to the Past 92, Link's Awakening DX 98, Oracle of Ages 2001. So I think I have every game previous to it digitally on this device.
I hear you.
I think that's why I was like, well, I got to get the last one. Which was not, it's not a good reason. I'm just telling you, it is a reason.
Yeah, but okay. Look, there's logic there. I see it. And I'm willing to, like I said, I salute you for marking out for like those mid-level games.
Yeah.
But hey, the heart wants what it wants, man. I can't stop you there.
There's a lot of good things to talk about with the 3DS. So if people have thoughts on their favorite 3DS game or moment, or what they missed in the eShop that they wish they had bought, that we could talk about how to hack and emulate. I don't know if we do another episode about the 3DS, but
maybe. I don't know. There could be.
I kind of feel like maybe we should. I don't know if we gave it enough time. I don't know what else we could say about it.
Stuff to say. If people have cool stuff to say, though, like let us know and we could do a show on that.
Yeah. At where?
Oh, they could send those to podcast@wewergamers.com. That's podcast@wewergamers.com. We will read your emails. Let us know about your 3DS stuff. What games did you love? What games did you play? We're interested. Separately, you can find us on social media. We're at wewergamers on all those places. Check them out. And on YouTube, we're youtube.com/@wewergamers. And that's check out those videos. That really helps us. And subscribe to the podcast and yada yada.
Yeah, yada yada, etc., etc., etc. I'm gonna go charge this thing up again. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I'm gonna try and do this battery thing again, but try and drain the battery a little more. There was too much to talk about.
You will appreciate that the game in the top left of my little tiles on the 3DS is Breath of Fire 2.
Well, that's your cartridge slot, top left.
No, I moved them around.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah, the cartridge slots in the middle.